my name is Finch, and welcome to my very first video. Specifically, I'm doing a speed drawing of Furina in one of the Miliastra Wonderland outfits. I chose Phantom Knight Candlelight, which I will now be referring to as Pencil. As a forewarning, there's a lot of flashing lights as usual in speed draws, and I tend to jump around and rotate the canvas a lot. I'm working on getting a better way to record these, but for now, feel free to use me as a podcast if those images bother you. With that out of the way, let's get into it. All my references are either from Pinterest or official Genshin art. So either the credit is Genshin Impact or lost to the void of Pinterest. The pose came really naturally to me, actually. Furina usually has these confident but relaxed poses in her idle animations, so it felt really natural to just put her in this sitting position. For my first pass, I wanted to just get an idea of the shapes I would be using, no details yet. So you'll notice I combine elements from the masculine and feminine versions of the outfit, since Furina's original outfit tends to toe the line of what nobility would have worn historically. I struggle a lot with face proportions in general. I find that I never quite know where the eyes, nose, mouth, or ears should sit, or where the jaw falls. And shading faces can be even harder. But I'm pretty happy with where this one landed. I really enjoy using this grid technique for patterns on the skirt. This could become very complicated very quickly with how cloth folds and bends, and not to mention how intricate the pattern is. But by imagining a grid as part of the pattern, I can figure out exactly where the pattern's lines should fall. Feet are another thing I struggle with. I often overestimate how far they can actually bend, and the foreshortening is such a puzzle for me. I think the reason I've never done a study on feet is because if you draw 100 hands, it's practice, but if you draw 100 feet, you're a creep. Maybe I'll just draw 100 shoes and that could help. I realized that the leg is kind of off where the platform Furina should be sitting on is, so I scoot the foot back and make the leg look a bit more natural. So I do this thing here where I make a base layer of just one color, because I intended to make the other colors clipping layers. Basically, I could scribble all over this silhouette and it would never break the silhouette. It would just stay within where I've already colored, and I would just use different colors for it. It's a very useful tool. But Firealpaca, the program I'm using, doesn't allow nested clipping layers, so I realized that the base layer wouldn't be very useful to me, and I chose to make the base color separate, so the shading layers could clip that instead. Okay, so you can see me going over the line art with a pixelated brush. This is because I heard that old anime would do things this way, and then the rendering program would soften the lines. But when I Gaussian blurred the lines, they looked really strange and I didn't like it. Just goes to show you should really make a test drawing before you redo your line art 3 separate times. Eventually, you'll see that because I blocked in the base colors with the pixelated line art, the edges of those colors would have a lot of blank spots I would have to fill in later. Again, I really should have done a test drawing first. So I tried out a new way of shading on the hat by taking the same color for the shadows and light and mixing those with the base color. But the results looked really muddy and gross, so I returned to my usual method of shifting the hue and shade a bit till it looked right. Finally, we reach my third and favorite iteration of the line art, where I pay a lot of attention to the lighting and make the lines thicker where it's darkest. I really like this line art style and I think it looks great. I actually figured out a new shading technique while doing this project. It's a little complicated to explain, but essentially I shade the fabric all at once at first, and then I duplicate it and clip that to different colors of the fabric, and then change those colors to match its new clipping base. This makes it so the shadows don't have random breaks across the same surface. Furina has always been my favorite Archon since her story debut in Fontaine. I still remember the days before the reveal, when people called her arrogant and even annoying. But that is precisely why I loved her. I can't really explain it, but something about dramatic and confident characters really draws me in personally. Sometimes I use a near black background to check for any stray pixels that didn't quite fill in the lines. It can be hard to see on a lighter background and vice versa, so I try to test both and... That's what the base color is for. Wait a second, people aren't using the base color... Wait, oh my gosh. I'm realizing this in real time. People are not using the base color as a base for their clipping layers. They might be, but they are using it to catch stray pixels. So there's not just random holes in the draw. Oh my gosh! I have learned a thing. I found that working with the skirt as one color was a lot easier than trying to work with it as a gradient right away. I later added the gradients once the shading was done. I'm super happy with how they turned out. So, I really struggle with backgrounds, but I wanted Furina to feel grounded and not just floating in space somewhere. So I had my dear husband look around Fontaine in-game and have a little photo shoot. He picked a wonderful spot that's actually located just outside the city on top of one of the waterway gate thingies. One of the aquabus gate what do we even call this? At first, I tried to put Furina in a reddish background, but no matter what I did to the green of the rooftops, it just did not work in that color scheme. I couldn't just pretend it was the red light of sunset because the red and green are opposites on the color wheel, so they ended up just looking brown and muddy and gross. So I decided to make the whole thing purple, like it was nighttime, and that ended up working a lot better anyways. And that's my drawing of Furina in the pencil outfit. I thought I would be using that term more. Oh well. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.